Hi everybody and welcome to another Lanzarote Information News from me, Mike, from Lanzarote Information. And I'm delighted to say I'm back home on the island now, having served the last few news bulletins to you from various parts of the world and from the cabin of a cruise ship. So back home in Lanzarote, it's a beautiful day, blue skies, and you can hear the birds singing, and it's just good to be home. Now, as always, I'll be doing the Lanzarote news for you this week. I'll be giving you some useful Spanish phrases that you can use while you're on the island. And right at the end, we'll be doing 3 things you could be doing next week if you're here on the island. So kicking off with the news, obviously the news this week, the big news has been all about the massive power cut suffered across Spain. This happened on Monday when basically the whole of mainland Spain had a complete power outage. And at this point, I'm now recording this at the end of the week, we still don't know exactly what caused it, and there's an investigation going on, and no doubt we will find out in due course. The good news for Lanzarote and the rest of the Canaries is that we have our own separate power grid, so it actually didn't affect us in terms of a power cut. And we were in contact with lots of people on the mainland in the early part of the power cut, and we were kind of being a bit smug and thinking, well, we're okay, we don't seem to have a problem here. But inevitably it did catch up with the islands at various points during the day, because we rely on servers, computer servers on the mainland for so many of our services, including the emergency call-out number 112, cell phone coverage, fibre internet to our homes and so on. And those services gradually dropped out during the course of Monday until by 7:30 in the evening. I think we had nothing in our house. We had no mains internet connection. We had no cell phone connection. So we were just able to sit and read our Kindles, albeit still with a power connection. The good news is during the course of the evening and through the night, all of the power services were recovered, and by the time we woke up on Tuesday morning, everything was back to normal. There was a pretty scary boat fire just off the coast of Puerto Calero on Thursday evening at around 8:30. And the boat blazed, and you know, there were huge flames and a big column of smoke above it. I was even contacted by some of our readers and viewers asking me if I knew what had been going on. The answer is we don't know at this stage why the boat caught fire. There were 4 people on board it, a lady and 3 men. They all jumped into the water. They're completely fine. They were rescued by emergency services, but the boat was completely destroyed. Some good news down in Playa Blanca this week. Guardia Civil have arrested a couple who are responsible for at least 17 thefts from holiday homes, shops and hotels in the resort. They've been arrested. They were found with a lot of stolen credit cards and jewellery and mobile phones and things like that in their possession, which of course will be returned to their rightful owners. And we wait to see what happens at their court case, but it's great that this couple have been taken off the streets. The Canarian government have made €1 million available to Lanzarote for flood prevention works. And this is in response to the floods that took place in April, which particularly affected Costa Teguise, Taiche and Arrecife. And the idea is that the money will be used to find ways to divert that water in the event of very, very heavy downpours again in the future, and make sure that the same thing doesn't happen. So that's a great award from the Canarian government, and hopefully that money will be put to good use. Now, before we go on to the useful Spanish phrases this week, I must apologise for the noise which is coming from my left. It sounds like a cement mixer or something running at the house at the back of us, but I've no idea. You can probably hear a kind of weird whirring, grating noise in the background. So for this week's useful Spanish phrase, we're going to cover how you ask someone how they are. You know, typically when you meet someone in English, you will say, "Hi John, how are you doing?" or "How's it going?" And both of those translate into Spanish. The more formal way of doing it, someone perhaps who's an acquaintance, will be to ask them, "¿Cómo estás?" which of course is how are you. The more kind of relaxed way of asking the question would be ¿Qué tal?, which literally means how does it go? How goes it? ¿Qué tal? So you'll greet someone in the street with Hola John, ¿cómo estás? Or Hola John, ¿qué tal? Now what you'll find is you're often asked that question when you walk into a restaurant. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué tal? They're asking you how you are. So let's also just quickly cover off how to reply to them. And the answer usually will be bien, ¿y tú? Or bien, gracias, ¿y tú? Well, thank you, and you? So I hope that's been a useful Spanish phrase for you this week. ¿Cómo estás? And ¿qué tal? And I love this news story, moving back onto the news now, of the island's first camel crossing sign, which has been installed in the area of La Heria Timanfaya, where the camels that give the tourist camel rides at Timanfaya cross twice a day on their way to work and on their way back to their home stables. And I quote Jacobo Medina, who is the Minister of Works at the Cabildo. He said the new signage will help improve coexistence between traffic and traditional camel routes, respecting an activity that forms part of our cultural and touristic heritage. I love the fact that they could have used, the kind of standard sign which shows a cow, which indicates animals crossing, but they've actually had one especially made that shows a camel in the image. Now this is interesting, and I'd be very interested to hear your comments on this. There is now a fast lane or fast track for airport security at Cesar Manrique Airport, and it's free of charge to use for people travelling business class. For those who aren't travelling business class, it costs €10.75, and you just bypass the normal security queue and go into a different section to have your bags and everything checked out. I've never really had an issue getting through security at the airport, but maybe we tend to travel at off-peak times, so is it worthwhile? Is it something you'd use? Would you be interested in it? Have you had issues with security at the airport? Leave a comment below and let us know. This was an interesting story. A Guardia Civil officer has been given the Cross of the Order of Merit, and this award has been made by a court actually who was investigating the case. He dived into the sea on a very rough day in Costa de Gizeh and ended up rescuing a very drunk British lady. It took several hours to rescue her because she was determined that she was going to end her life, and he stayed in the water with her for several hours, talking to her, keeping her calm, and eventually rescued her. So he was given the Cross of the Order of Merit in order to reward him for his efforts. Now, some time ago, I carried the story that the Canary Islands were looking at producing hydrogen, which of course is a very green fuel, from seawater. And I was pleased to see this week that has made some real progress now, and a platform is going to be built about 1.5 kilometres off the coast of Gran Canaria, and it will produce, using solar and wind energy, hydrogen from seawater. So it will convert seawater, which of course is H2O, into the two components, hydrogen and oxygen. But it will also, as well as producing a clean fuel, it will do so using clean energy. So the energy it uses will be provided by solar and wind. Initially, it will only it's a fairly small platform. It will only produce about 15 tonnes of hydrogen a year, but that will be enough to power the forklift trucks and the vehicles that operate in the port of Las Palmas. And it's kind of a test to see how effective it is and how well it works. And if it is successful, larger platforms can be built off the islands in order to produce more and more hydrogen, which of course is a very green fuel, because when it's used as a fuel, the only byproduct is water. Next up, a quick road closure message for you. The road that connects Maciot and Playa Blanca is closed in both directions currently, and it's being completely resurfaced. Work will be done as quickly as possible in order to restore traffic to that road, and currently there are diversions which go through the village of Las Breñas. And finally, on the news, we had news this week that the Paradisas by Melia Salinas Hotel Such a mouthful, that. Really, I mean, I don't understand why hotels go for these very complicated long names. It is the Paradisus by Melia Salinas Hotel, or as everyone calls it here, the Salinas or the Melia Salinas. Anyway, it was, you may recall, it was the hotel that was most badly affected by the floods in Costa Teguise. And they didn't just have a clean-up to do after the floods, because the floods got into their power generation and electricity system and really just took the whole thing out. The good news is that they have now announced that they will be reopening on the 1st of June. So in about a month's time, they will be back to normal. In the meantime, everyone who has had bookings with them should know by now where they're being moved to as an alternative. Now, 3 things you should go and see or do next week. And the first of those is something called Crus de Mayo. And Crus de Mayo is an event that happens every year at this time of year, where the people of Teguise, and I'm talking La Villa de Teguise, not Costa Teguise, produce beautiful, beautiful flower crosses all through the village. And if you've ever walked through Teguise, you'll have seen that on a lot of the walls there are maybe 6 foot tall wooden crosses. Well, they at this time of year get adorned with flowers, and they're absolutely beautiful. And they have started already. They started on Friday. If you are on the island for the next week, make a point of going to Teguise to go and have a look at these crosses. They're well worth it. Obviously, it costs nothing. But also, if you haven't been to Teguise on a non-market day, I would highly advise it, because it's a lovely, lovely place to walk around. Next up, starting on the 6th of May, is what I think is a brilliantly named exhibition. It's called Como Animales, which literally means like animals, but it's a phrase commonly used in Spanish to talk about people who are behaving really, really badly. So you might see, I don't know, some vandals or some people just behaving badly, and you'll hear Spanish people say, como animales, they're like animals. But this is actually a photography exhibition, which is by the photographer Germán Nieves. And Germán Nieves has taken photos of looking through the world through the eyes of another being, looking at the world through the eyes of another being, which is quite interesting. And this runs from the 6th to the 14th of May. It's open in the mornings from 10 until 2, and in the evenings from 4 until 8 p.m. The Civic Centre, the Centro Cívico Conecta in Tias, completely free to enter. And as always, if you want all of the details, including a map link, just go to lanzaroteinformation.co.uk, click what's on, and go to the 6th of May, and you'll see all the information there that Susanna has put in for us. And finally, next Saturday, the 10th of May, go along and watch the Sailfish open water swimming event. It's, in recent years, has become the sort of standard precursor to Ironman. A lot of the Ironman athletes use it to swim the Ironman course before the actual event to get a feel for it. It's just a really, really big open water swimming event, and people will be swimming from 5k downwards. So some of them will be doing 5 kilometers in the water. There's also a loop that is 3.8 kilometers, which is the Ironman swim course. There's one of 1.9 kilometers. There's a shorter 800 meter, 400 meter, and even a 200 meter sprint event. So that's well worth watching on Saturday the 10th of May. And it takes place on the main beach, Playa Grande, in Puerto del Carmen. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching once again. Don't forget to leave me a comment or a question below if you've got anything you want to ask us or you want to give us any feedback. If you liked this video, please give us a like. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do, so that you see our videos on every Tuesday, every Thursday, and this one every Saturday morning. Thanks once again for watching, and bye for now.